You know, they have evidence that Brian Kohlberger's been stalking. When he was arrested in the Poconos, Pennsylvania, in his parents' house, they found a box with a glove in it with 2 IDs. We're going to go over that evidence tonight, and also how he was doing creepy, stalkerish things when he was in high school. And I am told that they have even more information about him stalking that hasn't been released to the public in any way right now. I want to know what you think about this. Do you believe it is real, or do you believe it is fake? Or do you think it's being blown out of proportion? I want to hear from you. This is a conversation with you. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell to join the conversation. And please hit that like button. Thank you, guys. I have one reason for this video. I recently watched Dateline again about the Idaho4 case, and I found something, and it made me feel like an asshole. I heard Keith Morrison back up some information that Jennifer Coffindaffer gave. If you might remember, you guys have been watching me for a while. I did a video about the incompetence of Jennifer Coffindaffer, and I want to apologize for that. I found out, let me just show you everything, and I'm going to show you some new evidence. It's not new evidence. It's been around, but it's leaked from a source. It bears looking at in this case. So let's look at it. First of all, is it really my fault? News Nation had a lot of conflicting information at the time. Here is an example right here, and I will tell you exactly what it is as it shows up. I'm going to break in here and tell you. So listen carefully to what she says.
And we are tracking the latest, of course, on suspected Idaho killer Brian Kohlberger, accused of murdering Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Gonsalves in November. Now, sources now telling News Nation an ID belonging to one of those victims was found in Kohlberger's car.
An ID belonging to one of those victims was found in Kohlberger's car. That is what they said right here. That is conflicting to what Keith Morrison was told. And Jennifer Coffindaffer is going to come in here as an expert witness to confirm what the news anchor is saying. And she's going to go on another show and say something completely different. And she's going to go on Dateline and say something different. But we're going to go over that right now.
And meanwhile, authorities in Pennsylvania are looking into Kohlberger's possible involvement in other killings. Joining us now to discuss the latest in this case, Jennifer Coffindaffer, former FBI special agent and News Nation law and justice contributor. Jennifer, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
If Kohlberger was as well trained in this area as he apparently was, why would he take one of the IDs and keep it?
Well, if in fact he did take the ID.
All right, this is an expert witness for their law and crime, and she's saying if in fact he did. So again,
and remember, we don't know particularly what ID was taken. Supposedly it was one of the IDs from someone inside that house at a
okay, she's saying nothing but then also confirming. Very odd.
1122 King Road. We're not even sure whether it's a victim. But
she just said it's reported to be a victim. We're not sure if it's a victim. She said it's a victim, but we're not sure it's a victim, but it's somebody from that house.
Probably he would have taken it as a trophy if indeed he did commit these murders. In this way, he could look at it, he could relive that moment, and it's very usual for people who kill people in this manner to take trophies or souvenirs.
How would his defense defend him having a victim's ID in his possession? What would the explanation possibly be?
Well, I guess I can guess that one. I was out driving, as I do by myself often, so very often late at night, and I saw it there in the middle of the road, went out and picked it up.
Well, we know the ID was supposedly found in a box in the house, inside a glove at his parents'
in a box in a glove at the parents' house.
Which is very interesting because it would seem as if he was secreting it or hiding these.
That's what she said. You know, I just had a phone call, the lady attacking me for saying it's Brian Kohlberger all the time. What's the evidence? They actually arrested him, and they were watching him take out the garbage, separating his trash, putting it in a separate baggie, and taking out the trash and putting it in a different garbage can. Now, some people's problem is that they don't believe anything that's coming from the arresting affidavit. Well, there's evidence to back up what they put on that affidavit when they can show you video of him doing this and video of him being arrested with the things on his hands. They're just not giving you the information. I'm going to continue here.
The IDs that were listed. There is no explanation, honestly. There is nothing to explain how or why he would have this ID with him unless he was involved and murdered those students.
Okay, so this is what she said on this show. Then later that day, I believe it was the same day, she went on, I want to call him Gary Cuomo. But yeah, she went on Cuomo's show, and this is what she had to say on his show. Check this out.
Okay, so from the investigative side, look, Garagos hates doing anything that's favorable to me. You see that? Even nodding his head. He didn't really want to. He was fighting it. So from the investigative side, Jennifer Coffin-Davis, I'll start with you. You find ID from one of the victims in a place that was controlled, inhabited by Kohberger. Let's start with that. How big a deal?
It's a big deal. That is a smoking license, just like the sheep.
A smoking license, and she's all excited about it, jumping up and down. It's kind of disturbing to me. And again, I apologized to her earlier. And she later came out saying she misspoke because she said it was in a glove box, and now she's saying it's in a glove in a box.
Was a smoking sheath found next to Maddie with his DNA on that clasp. It's the same thing in this situation. Why would he have an ID related to one of those people from that house? And remember, we know that identifications were recovered from the glove box, and that was at the Pennsylvania search warrant.
It was from a box, and it was in a glove that was in a box.
So interesting. We always wondered, what were those identifications?
There's Pullman. There's three separate affidavits for search warrants, and one was, of course, the King Road residence, and there's also one in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and then there's one at Kohberger's actual house, his apartment in Pullman, Washington.
That they referred to.
What's the counter, Mark?
Well, the counter is we don't know if it's true yet. I think part of the problem is when you put a gag order on stuff like this and you don't have a way for people to respond, you get us doing what we're doing now. I mean, I would much rather find out if, in fact, this is. And
yet this guy does this for a living. It's what he does. He's on a podcast with Adam Carolla, for God's sakes. He talks about this kind of stuff. Okay. See, what else do I have for you? I almost want you to wash this out of your mind. So check this out. And then later, we have this lady talking about Brian Kohberger being booted from police program after complaints from classmates. And this is what she had to say about it. He was a leader in his class. He took the class extremely seriously. Of course, this is Tanya Camilla Beers. And she said she can't say a lot of this, but he was forced to leave the program in his junior year following a series of complaints from female classmates. This is what she alleges. To be removed from a program, it has to be pretty severe. She said of the incident, though she declined to elaborate to the exact nature of the report, she said she couldn't do that. Do you think that might have been stalking? It was females that reported him, by the way. What had him removed from the program, when I look back on it now, makes sense with what happened later, she recalls, referring to the bombshell allegations that Kohberger knifed 4 college students to death last fall. He transitioned to the HVAC program, but ultimately decided not to return to vocational school for a senior year. In his senior year, he actually, I don't know, call it dropped out, and he finished his senior year online. Did you guys know that? All right. So, what else am I missing here? So this goes on and it talks about the same situation a little bit better. The situation occurred when a complaint was made and the teacher reported it to me and said an investigation needs to be conducted. Other students were interviewed. Brian was interviewed. And, there comes a time when decisions have to be made, whether it's a decision the student wants or not. And he was removed from the vocation of being a police cadet in his school. Okay, there's that. I want to know what you think about this. Let's go over this last piece of information. I'm not showing you the video of it. I do not want to infringe on the copyright of this. If later you see this video and it's just quiet in this part, it means that they had me remove this clip. I'm going to do my best to keep it in here and not violate their copyright, but it is important for what is being said here. I'm going to play it right now. This is Keith Morris, and there's a lady you're going to hear. That is Jennifer Coffindaffer. Jennifer Coffindaffer. All right. And this is also about those IDs plural, and who they belong to, and the source.
They found some curious items. For example, in search warrants, police reported that in Koberger's home in Pennsylvania, in Brian's bedroom, we're told, inside a latex glove, police found 2 ID cards. IDs belonging to 2 women. And not, our source tells us, not the women who are among the victims on King Road.
Were there other targets?
Yeah, other targets, other potential targets. I think just the way they were hidden. And I'm going to call it hidden because your average person would not hide an ID in this fashion. So I think they might have some significance even if it's not to King Road.
No matter who they belong to, the victims in this case are many.
There's information we don't have yet because it's not gone to trial, and everything has been silenced. Quiet. So, what do you think about this information? I like Keith Morrison a lot more than Jennifer Coffindaffer, even though I offered my apologies earlier. I trust him. I trust his sources of what he's saying. Now, I tried to pull up the list of things that they pulled, and I've had it before. I have them in past videos. You can see it, but I couldn't find it tonight. I don't know if it's been pulled or not, but I did read it before, and I want to know what you think. Do you think that this evidence is something that's going to come out in trial, and they have more evidence of him stalking? There is evidence of him driving around and around in that, around the house on King Road. There's evidence of that. People don't want to believe. The evidence is set forth. He would just happen to be rolling around. It doesn't mean he murdered anybody. No, I don't have, my DNA wasn't in there. I don't have evidence from me stalking other people. I don't have a history of getting kicked out. But they know what he did in that school, although that might not be admissible in court. There's a lot of different things they have, all circumstantial, right? Bullshit. I didn't do the murder. You didn't do the murder. And there's no way it could possibly be pinned on you because you weren't there. You weren't riding around the freaking house. Your DNA's not in there. Are we to believe that this poor boy is being framed for this? This fine, upstanding young citizen. Are we to believe that? I want to know what you think. Maybe you believe that, and that's fine. I want to hear your reasons for it because maybe you're right and I'm wrong. And you know what? My opinion might change next time. I'm holding the scales of the balance of the information we have right now, and it looks like he did it. Although I am not the judge, I'm not the jury. At the end of the day, he can be innocent until proven guilty or not. He's the one that waived his right to a speedy trial because, in my opinion, he ain't got anything like an alibi or a pot to piss in. Let me know what you think. You can call me 325-261-0892. It's okay if we don't agree. I want to hear what you have to say. I really do. Convince me. 325-261-0892, or you can email me at midnightrad.io.